Welcome to World Without You, a Sims 4 story inspired by Belinda Carlisle songs. And now, episode 4 of World Without You. It must have been after 8 o'clock by the time I got up and started heading back from the bridge. I couldn't believe he had said it. I don't know where he got the idea to call me Frog, but I was just done. I sent Ellie a text apologizing for not coming back after break. I felt bad lying to her. I told her I had to rush home to make sure I'd turned my flat iron off and got distracted by something else. I told her I'd come back if she was still there. I thought it was best to try to head back there, just in case. But I was done with Harold. Ivy could have her Jack. I didn't need him. But I would have to learn how to be around him. I would have to at least pretend to be his friend, or at least not his enemy. I wasn't going to give up my lessons for him, or anything else that makes me happy. And I would need to make sure he did right by Ivy. As I got back to the theater, Ellie had called me. She said that she had gone home for the night, and not to worry, that she knew me well enough to know that I would have a good reason. She said Harold might still be there working on something, and the last one out should lock up. I guess it was time to see how good of an actor I would be. I'd have to try to avoid drama, or embrace it. I heard music coming from the back room, and I saw that he was working on something. He had a radio station playing, and the song finished, and suddenly a very familiar one started blasting. He stopped and just started jamming out to it. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing. And I couldn't believe what I was feeling. didn't know what to think. I didn't know whether to be mad at him or run up and hug him. He was seriously jamming to that song. People don't just stop doing what they're doing to jam out to a song like that, unless it means something. I couldn't stop myself. I had to go talk to him. What you making? Anything good? Nah, I'm just kind of tinkering. It's been a long day. I felt like just messing around. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I saw you dancing. I love that song too. I like when it starts playing out of nowhere. It's like a starter pistol going off. Yeah, that's a pretty good song. I can't help but dance to it. Diane Warren wrote that song. You know who she is? Yeah, she's done quite a few good ones for a lot of the big names. Aunt Ellie's always talking about her. Been meaning to ask you something. Have you told Ivy that we've already met? No, I didn't tell her nothing. Good. I figured that would cause a problem. She don't need no problems. Not from me, anyway. And I don't want her being mad at you. That really was confusing with the two names. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm also sorry I didn't tell you I had to leave town. I meant to tell you, but I just didn't know how. I've had problems in the past when I did tell someone. I really enjoyed working on the painting with you. That was really fun. I enjoyed it too. It's been fun, but I need to get home. I need to get going too. And then he left. What had just happened? Why were we getting along if he doesn't like me? That's when I noticed the little light was on the TV camera. It had been recording, but the tape was now full. So I decided to take a look. So how was your first day at the new school, Harold? You settling in? Aunt Ellie, I got myself into a situation and I don't know what to do. I met this girl a few weeks back and we had a lot of fun together. I started to develop some feelings for her, but I couldn't tell her or go too far because I was leaving soon. Plus, girls always seem to get carried away around me. But I really had a connection with her, so that's why I asked if I could move here with you. But things are really messed up now. Her best friend also lives here and won't stop hanging around us. We're in a lot of the same classes, and it's so hard to talk to her with the third wheel always there. I didn't know her friend lived here. I met her at the drama camp, and she's been fawning over me since I got here. She's like some frog that won't stop croaking. Well, Harold, I reckon there's only one thing you can do. You're gonna have to tell one of them something. Somebody gonna get hurt, but you're gonna have to. I know, Aunt Ellie. It's just gonna be hard. The recording had stopped there, but I had heard plenty. I couldn't believe what was actually said. He didn't call me Frog. And it was Ivy who was bugging him. Poor Ivy. I couldn't believe it. He liked me. He had moved here just for a chance to be around me. Maybe there's something there after all. But what do we do about Ivy? She's gonna be hurt. Oh, I'm gonna have to come up with something. I don't know if Harold's gonna be able to figure this out. Ellie's right, he is a good guy. I don't know if he's the type to hurt anyone. But I don't know, I don't want to miss out. If this is real, I need to find out. And Harold's gonna want to find out too. But she didn't know that I knew him. She doesn't know that I met him first. This is gonna be so hard. Why am I so happy when I know what I have to do to her? What kind of friend am I? I can't believe this. Is this even real? I'm gonna have to find out. Somehow, I managed to get myself home and get some sleep. Then I walked with Ivy the next day, let her do all the talking. Harold was smart enough not to be walking with us yet. And so we began another new day, with art class first. This time I brought an apron with me and a change of clothes. I was looking forward to another class with Miss Stone. I thought she was letting us just do free painting for the first day. But it turns out every day was like that. She would give a lesson on certain tools or color theory or types of paint. But when it came time to do some art, she let us just do what we were doing. She said, "There are no tests in my class. Art shouldn't have a test." And I loved that about her. And I needed to hear that. Next up, it was day 2 of Miss Norwood's baking class. Today we were making sugar cookies, but with a twist. First, we had to make the butter. We filled jars halfway with heavy whipping cream, and then we shook them until the butter separated from the liquid. That would have been more fun if my arms weren't still sore from that workout I had the night before. Then she taught us about creaming the sugar, which means blending the butter and sugar in such a way that it creates bubbles inside. Of course, I've already taught you about this stuff, but that was when I learned it, so it's part of the story. Everyone's cookies came out pretty good, except for poor Ivy. She was a little bit distracted with Harold, and hers cooked a little too long. But they weren't burnt. And then it was time for creative writing. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing today? Everybody good? So today we're going to go over a few of the technical terms for creative writing. As you can see, I have a lot of terms written down on the board and on these posters. We are not going to go over all of them in one day. These are here for you to see as you need them. The only grades I give in this class are on your knowledge of these terms. I don't grade on what you write. I only ask that you participate in the class. I don't expect you all to finish your stories, but you will at least attempt to write something. That's all I ask. So we're going to start off with the basic structure of a story. And it usually resembles a pyramid or a hill. On one side, you have the beginning or exposition. And then you have the rising action going up the hill. When it gets to the top, that's the middle or the climax. It's also referred to as the turning point. Then you have the falling action as you go down the hill. And you come to an end or a resolution. I couldn't help but let out a chuckle. Miss Kimbrough heard me. and asked, "What's so funny, Tiffany?" I told her that Miss Bird had referred to the same thing as a roller coaster. "Well, that's a good way of putting it. Miss Bird is a very descriptive teacher, and she does a really good job of saying the same thing that I'm saying. I like her. She's one of my good friends." So when you think about the structure of a story, can you think of any stories that you've read, or perhaps movies that you've watched? And can you tell me when the turning point was in the story? Do you have a favorite? Something that really caught you off guard? That you really enjoyed? Some of us gave some of our examples. Harold said he liked the movie The Natural, the baseball one. I said I liked the book Anne of Green Gables. Ivy said she liked My Cousin Vinny. And then Miss Kimbrough said, "Now if you really think about all those stories and movies, the climax was not necessarily in the middle of the story. They might have happened near the end. It might have been closer to the beginning. It may have been a slow climb up the hill, and it may have been a quick climb up the hill. And the action that was on the other side of the turning point may have been quick, or it may have been slow. It's not always as even going up and coming down. There are differences." We spent some time writing in our stories, and Miss Kimbrough came over and sat by me again. I guess she was just checking up on me, see if I was doing better than I was yesterday. "How you feeling, Tiff?" "Much better, thank you." "That's good." "So any ideas what you might write about?" "Well, I'm still thinking, but I do have some ideas." "That's good. Always good to have some ideas." "I'm having a little bit of writer's block myself right now." What am I gonna write about?" And I started writing. I don't remember exactly what I was writing with that story. But over time, I began to think of a really good idea. When we got to drama class, Miss Bird had a TV in the room, so I guess we were going to be treated to something good. "All right, y'all. Today we going to talk some more about drama. There's many different types of drama. You can do a play, It could be a TV drama or a movie, could be a radio drama, or it could be a music video. All of those different kinds of dramas have many ways of doing them. They also have different amounts of time to tell their story. Some things had a bigger budget, and some things had a smaller budget. And some of you know what I'm talking about when I say smaller budget. So when you're doing a drama, you got to take into consideration all them factors. There's casting, there's scenes, there's a lot of plays that use just a couple of background settings to tell the whole story. Might just be two people in a car, constantly driving somewhere. Might be a courtroom drama, take place in just the courtroom, or maybe in the jury room. There's a famous one that took place only in a jury room. Music videos only have a few minutes to tell their story. Sometimes you just need the music, but sometimes you need something visual too. Sometimes you may be seeing a live performance. Sometimes you might see a cartoon. Sometimes you may see something that looks like a movie. A couple having dinner. Or somebody talking to their children. You just never know what you're going to get in the music video. And today that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to watch a video and we're going to talk about what they used to make that video, to make it visually appealing to a target audience. So that was the Heaven is a Place on Earth video by Belinda Carlisle. You may or may not have seen that before, but if you have, you recognized it. I'm sure you've heard the song. It gets played a lot. That's a song written by Rick Knowles and Ellen Shipley. That video was directed by an actress named Diane Keaton. You may have seen her in a few movies. Jamie, what are some things you noticed about the video? Well, it's kind of hard not to notice all the globes. Yep, they used some props in that video. Marissa, what did you notice? I noticed the kids wearing masks. Yep, they had kids wearing masks. And they were all dressed alike. What did you see, Tiffany? Well, I saw that she had a man in the video. I've heard that's her actual husband, Morgan Mason. Yep, she had her husband in that video. What did you see, Harold? Well, I kind of like the spinny parts. I don't know how they did that, but I kind of like them spinny parts. Well, they actually used an amusement park ride. One of them rides that spins people around. That's what they used to film that. What about you, Miss Ivy? I like the backup singers. It's interesting that you mention that, Ivy. Belinda had many different backup singers. Some good ones. This particular song had a couple of special guests. They had Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas and her daughter, China Phillips, before she was well known for the Wilson Phillips group. So what does this have to do with drama? Well, the song, while only a few minutes long, tells a story of a woman who loves her man, and to her it's heaven on earth. And they use props and backup singers to tell that story. And some kids and some simple special effects, but they get the job done. And of course, Miss Belinda sells the song herself too. After we finished talking about Belinda's video, we watched a few other music videos and discussed them. And she showed a few commercials also, talking about how commercials only had a very short time to do whatever drama they needed to do. And then it was time to walk home. Once again, Harold wasn't walking with us. It was just Ivy and me. I was expecting another earful of talking about Harold, but instead she just complained about having to hear that Belinda song. How she was tired of him playing it over and over again, and now she had to come to school and hear it again. And of course, we had to listen to some other music that they play over and over again. She's just so sick of it. And that's all they do. They play it over and over again every day. And I have to go home, and my mom's always got the radio on, and they play the song over and over again on there every day. You can't go anywhere without hearing that song. And I have to listen to it constantly. And I can't turn it off, 'cause she won't let me. I hear you, Ivy. It happens. It can get a little bit repetitive. Yeah, you know. But seriously, why? Why that song? Why couldn't she show a different song? Maybe you could suggest one to her. I shouldn't have to do that. She should just not do annoying things. Ugh. After parting from Ivy, I went to investigate my secret place, since I had left in such a haste the night before. I don't know what happened, but the bush was burnt, and the restrooms had been knocked over and demolished. I wanted to know if anything survived. Some of my CDs were burnt. Others were broken. I reached into the rubble and felt around. I found where my CD player was. Inside the Heaven on Earth CD had survived. The CD player had protected it, but the player was broken. So I headed over to the thrift store to see if I could get a replacement. I always loved coming to Rocket Thrift Store. It was a chain of thrift stores that seemed to take over old drugstores. I remember a commercial once saying, "Come to Retro Rocket Days for a blast from the past." They didn't always have much, but I occasionally found something good there. Sometimes it was just what I needed. They had a few good CD players to choose from, looked in decent shape, so I was at least going to get a new one, or new to me. Don't you just love thrift stores? All these items that somebody once owned. I like to think about all the stories behind them. Did somebody get this clock for a birthday or for an anniversary gift? Maybe they were writing stories with one of these desk lamps. Somebody might have been slow dancing to one of these radios or watching a show together on one of the TVs. Is you looking for anything in particular there, hon? Or you just kind of visiting, like me? I broke my CD player, and I need a new one. And I want to take a look through the CD collection. Some of my old ones got broken. Mind if I ask which ones you're looking for? I might have some. Like I said, some of them students would bring me some and forget to take them with them. Well, I had just about every Belinda Carlisle CD. I'm down to one. Well, child, I definitely have a few of those. You're welcome to them if you find the ones you don't have. Did you want to come over for supper? Sure, I'll come over. You mind if I help out? Child, you can help me out anytime. Looks like one of my friends is coming over too. Well, guess we'll have to make something real special, huh? You going anywhere in particular, or you just want to walk there with me? No, not going anywhere. I'll come with you. Along the way, as we headed to Ellie's house, I kept thinking about how Harold was probably going to be home, and I'd be spending time with both of them and whoever this friend was. But I also kept thinking about how confusing this situation was. I had seen the video. I know that Harold is at least interested in seeing me, and that he doesn't really want to be with Ivy. I know that Ivy doesn't know anything about me seeing Harold. And I don't think that Elliot or Harold knows that I've seen the video, so they probably don't suspect that I know anything. Ellie may suspect that I have feelings for Harold by the way I acted when he left, but I would not have a repeat of Grant Dobbs. Harold needs to make the first move. If he doesn't want to be with Ivy, he needs to tell her. The ball is really in Harold's court here. And if I try to tell her that he's not interested in her, and somehow later I end up with him, I'm the one that caused the problem. I just don't see any scenario where I end up with Harold without hurting Ivy and losing my best friend. She's gonna hate me, but I don't want to be without Harold. If there's a chance to be happy with Harold, I've got to take it. Especially if he's not going to be happy with Ivy. She won't be happy with him. But she's still going to be hurt. But I had to remind myself that life had given me Harold back. I could have him as my friend. And I was thankful for that. I wasn't going to take that for granted. I didn't know how much time I would have with him. Or Ellie. So I better enjoy it while I can. And then the guest came over. Hello, everybody. Hello, Tiffany. Nice to see you here. Something smells good. Fiona, I reckon we's in for a treat. We're about to have breakfast by Tiffany and Harold. This is very delicious. You both did an excellent job. I'd never thought of having breakfast for dinner, but now that I think of it, it works very well. Yeah, my mom wasn't always feeling well, so I had to learn how to cook, and this was one of the first things I learned, and we had the ingredients. Funnily enough, that movie is actually how I came up with the idea. That's my mom's favorite movie, and I had seen that it was about to come on the TV, and I decided that I would make breakfast for dinner and watch the movie with my mom. She really got a kick out of it, having breakfast by Tiffany while watching Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah, I really like Audrey Hepburn. She did a good job in that movie. Did you know she wasn't even supposed to be the one in that movie? It was originally supposed to be Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, it is interesting, those strange turns of events that happen. After our breakfast, we made our way to the living room to watch some TV. Harold said the funniest thing. Is that downtown baby show? One with all the butlers? I said, yeah, something like that, Harold. And then Harold asked, Aunt Ellie, do you have that movie? That breakfast movie? Can we watch that? You know, Harold, I reckon I do. I got it on VHS somewhere around here. I'm gonna have to go get it. Meantime, Harold, I'm gonna need you to hook up my VCR. My old one broke, so I went to the thrift store last week and got a different one. But I haven't hooked it up yet. If you can go to the hallway closet and get it and hook it up for me. Much obliged. Tiffany, would you like to come with me? Look through the music CDs I was talking about. Not only did we have all of the Belinda CDs that I had lost, she also had a few of the Go-Go's. And then we watched Breakfast at Tiffany's. And I don't think Harold was just trying to impress anybody. He really wanted to watch the movie. And he really enjoyed it. I guess that's one of the things I always liked about Harold. He was being real. He was just being himself. He wasn't pretending to like me, or like the movie, or like the music. It was just him. After the movie, Harold offered to share some of the cookies from school. He said that he and Ivy had split their cookies amongst each other. I thought that was really cool. I just had to try one of Ivy's, and it wasn't bad at all. The sugar had just browned a little more. It, it wasn't burnt at all. I felt bad that I wouldn't be able to tell her, because then she would know I was with Harold. I saw a chance, so I just had to ask, Harold, how did you meet Ivy? Why were you there as a plumber? The drama camp is back home in Texas, and Aunt Ellie knows the lady who was running the drama camp, and they had some clogged toilets that needed fixing. That's all I was doing was unclogging the toilets and some of the drains. I wasn't doing any serious plumbing, but I had one of my friends with me, and he called me Jack, like my friends do. I was working in the bathroom down by the girls' dressing room, and I could hear them girls outside just talking up a storm about me, talking like they was trying to catch a fish or something. I could hear them out there giggling and sound like they was playing double dog dare or something. When I come out the bathroom, some of them scattered, but Your friend Ivy was still there. I walked over to my toolbox to get some other tools because there were a few other odds and ends I needed to fix while I was there. And she was just chatting up a storm with me. I was being friendly like, 'cause that's how I was raised. And well, radio was on, and that that "Mad About You" song from Belinda Carlisle came on. You know I like her songs, and well, I was just kind of listening to the song and not really hearing what Ivy was saying. I just can't help it. I like listening to her songs, and well, I guess Ivy thought maybe I was paying a little bit more attention to her than I was, but after the song was over, I said, I need to get going now, and I might not be back. I knew she wasn't going to be around past the drama camp, so there was no sense in doing anything there. It was just an innocent little meeting. Wasn't nothing to it. But here I am in this town, and I'm not going to be mean to her. She really seems to like me, and I'd rather have a friend than an enemy, any day. Well, Jack, do you or do you not like her? Do you want more from a relationship with her? If you don't, you're going to have to tell her that you only want to be friends. She's going to be hurt if you don't. She may be hurt either way, but that's the only way she's not going to be hurt the most. Well, that being said, it's time for me to go. It's been a really good evening. I had fun. I'm glad I got to watch a movie with you and Ellie and Miss Kimbrough. Yeah, I had fun too. Would you like me to walk you home? I don't think that's a good idea, Harold. Ivy might see us. I don't think she should be seeing us. I could tell he got the point, even if he couldn't acknowledge it with me. I hugged Ellie goodnight and thanked her for the CDs, and then Miss Kimbrough drove me home. It was only a short drive, so I really didn't get to talk much with her. By the time I told her where I lived, it was over. I came in and sat down, thought about turning the TV on. That's when I noticed there was a note on the refrigerator. Tommy had left a note saying he had left town and wouldn't be back for a while. A long while. He said he had some things to figure out and some things he wanted to try. I really hadn't talked to him much. Ever since the wedding, he just kinda kept to himself. Last conversation I had with him, I mentioned that Ivy had a boyfriend that she had met at the drama camp, and that he had moved here. But I hadn't said much else about the whole Harold situation. But I could totally relate to what he was going through. He had been given freedom to spread his wings. We both need to figure out where to fly to. It took a bit for the realization to settle in that I had the house to myself. The timing was appreciated and uncanny. I don't know if it was the lavender fumes, or the music, or both, or something else. But I had an epiphany. I had a moment of clarity. I knew what I would do. I would make my reality into a story and see if I could make my story come true. I wasn't an actor, but I would have to be one, and I would have to do the performance of my life. Thank you for watching episode 4 of World Without You.